I used to believe that loyalty would eventually be rewarded, until the day I opened that old document folder. It was a quiet Saturday like any other. I'd stopped by my parents' house in Salem, Oregon, just as I did every weekend. My mother, Denise, wasn't tech-savvy, so I often helped her sort bills, organize paperwork, and scan whatever forms she didn't want to deal with. That two-story red brick house, the one I'd spent nearly a decade financially supporting, tile by tile, shingle by shingle, felt like a second home. Sometimes it felt like more of a home than my own. "Can you take a look at this for me?" she asked, handing me a messy stack of documents before heading back outside to tend to her orchids. I sat at the dining room table and started sorting through the papers. Receipts, statements, tax forms, until I spotted a thick cream-colored envelope stamped in bold letters. Estate plan and will. I paused. Not because I was curious, at least that's what I told myself, but because I wanted to make sure everything was in order. I was always the one who worried about these things. The one who kept everything from falling apart. But as I turned to the section labeled Asset Distribution, something in my chest tightened. Everything, and I mean everything, was going to Samantha, my younger sister. The house. Over $450,000 in savings. The new SUV. Even Mom's wedding ring. My name wasn't listed. Not once. Just a single sterile line. "We love both our daughters." I clenched the paper, my knuckles turning white. Every memory of working 2 jobs to cover their mortgage, of battling through snowstorms to deliver Mom's medication, of fixing leaking pipes and climbing onto the roof in the dead of winter. All of it collapsed under the weight of that cold, printed sentence. Behind me, I heard her footsteps returning to the kitchen. "Hannah, did you find the statement?" she asked lightly. I stood up, holding the will in my hand. My voice was calm, too calm. "Mom, is this real?" She froze, eyes flicking to the page in my hand. "Oh, Hannah. What does that mean?" I cut her off. My throat felt tight, but my words were sharp. "A lifetime of sacrifice, and I don't even get a mention?" My father, Richard, wandered in from the living room, coffee in hand. He set the mug down like we were talking about the weather. "You don't need to react like this, Hannah. You're doing fine. Samantha's still figuring things out." I laughed, dry, hollow. Figuring things out. She's 30. She can't hold a job for more than 3 months and still lives off YouTube and handouts. I'm the one who's kept this place from falling apart. Who paid your mortgage? Who fixed your roof? Who never asked for a damn thing in return?" Mom stepped forward and placed a hand gently over mine as if that could patch the damage. "Don't overthink it. I just wanted your sister to feel secure." I pulled my hand back. "Secure? What about me? The one who's been holding this house up with both hands." Silence. I laid the will back on the table like returning a declaration of war. "Thanks for showing me where I stand." I walked out without looking back. No one called after me. And for the first time in years I didn't feel hurt, I just felt empty. A hollow kind of emptiness that chilled me to the bone. 2 weeks passed. No calls. No messages. Nothing. Then like clockwork my dad texted, "Hannah, this month's mortgage is due. Can you transfer it soon? Deadline's Friday." I stared at the message in disbelief. Not a word about the will. Not even a check-in. Just another demand like I was their personal ATM. I replied, "I think Samantha can handle it. The house is hers now, right?" I didn't wait for a response. 10 minutes later my phone buzzed again. It was Mom. "Hannah, don't do this. We need to talk." I didn't answer. I wasn't sad. I wasn't even angry. Just clear. For once, ruthlessly clear. 3 days later Samantha messaged me, "You're overreacting. Mom and Dad didn't mean it like that. You've always been independent." "I'm not. You know that." I typed back slowly. "Then prove you deserve what you've been given. Start by paying the mortgage." No reply. A week passed. Then a transfer request, $2,900 from my mom. No message. No explanation. Just a cold, automatic demand. Like I was still expected to fix everything without question. I declined without hesitation. The phone rang. I let it ring. Then the message, "Hannah, I know you saw it. Why did you decline?" I took a deep breath and replied, "Because it's no longer my responsibility. Samantha." And for the first time I felt something like control. Like I had stepped off a sinking ship I was never meant to save. 3 more days. Another text from Samantha. "You're being so selfish. Didn't you always say family comes first? I stared at the message. Family is about fairness and respect. Not using someone until they're no longer useful. After that, nothing. Just silence. But this time silence felt like relief. Like freedom. Still deep down I knew they'd come back. When the house was at risk. When Samantha's inheritance couldn't cover reality. When no one else would bail them out. And when that day came I wouldn't be the savior anymore. A dry, humorless laugh slipped from my lips. Just a few payments. Easy to say when you've never paid a utility bill in your life. I typed back. I'm not being dramatic. I'm being clear. You should get used to it. Less than a minute later she replied. You're seriously selfish. Don't be surprised if Mom and Dad don't forgive you. I set the phone down. And for the first time in years I didn't feel guilty. I wasn't haunted by, what if they're mad at me, or trapped in the need to be the good daughter. I had crossed a line. The one between being taken for granted and finally standing up for myself. The next day I called the bank and had my name removed from the joint mortgage account. Then I contacted the utility companies and canceled every auto payment I had quietly managed for years. I deleted the reminders from my phone like I was holding a quiet ritual, marking the end of my role as their unpaid safety net. That night I cleaned my apartment, played my favorite playlist, and bought myself a slice of that rich chocolate cake I'd always passed over for more important things. I started sleeping through the night. No more waking up to alerts. No more dragging the weight of 3 adults behind me as I tried to move forward. I even signed up for an online art class, something I'd dreamed of but always shelved because there was never time. Or more truthfully, because I wasn't allowed to be selfish. And just as life began to breathe again, the past came knocking. Early the next week my mom called. I ignored it. A message followed. Hannah, we need to talk. Your sister doesn't know how to pay the internet bill. Can you help? I didn't respond. 2 days later. The landline got cut. She can't log in. I don't know what to do. I read it, then walked to the bookshelf and pulled out the old notebook. The one where I had written every password, account number and customer service line. The lifeline. I closed it and put it back. I wasn't their assistant. I wasn't the backbone of a family that erased me the second I stopped being useful. 3 days later, a new message from Samantha. Are you kidding me? The power's about to be shut off. Are you really going to let that happen to our family? I replied with a single sentence. Well, I'm just letting everyone take responsibility for their own choices. Silence. Until one morning I received a call from a number I didn't recognize. Mrs. Lorraine, our neighbor of 20 years. Your mom asked if I knew anyone selling houses. I don't think they're managing well anymore. I thanked her and hung up. No smugness. No satisfaction. Just stillness. I sat by the window, letting the sunlight spill over me, and realized, for the first time, I wasn't crushed by guilt or obligation. I had stepped out of the cycle and I wasn't going back. Then came another message from Mr. Walter, our other longtime neighbor. Hannah, is everything okay with your parents? Denise was confused about the date. But she just got a foreclosure notice. There was. 4 weeks. That's how long it took for the house I kept from collapsing brick by brick, to begin crumbling without me. An hour later Mom called. I let it ring. Then, Hannah, please. We really need you. It's serious. I read it. Then put the phone down. My chest felt tight. Not from guilt but from years of muscle memory. I thought I'd feel vindicated. I didn't. Only an ache I couldn't name. 2 days later Samantha showed up at my door. She looked worn, hoodie wrinkled, hands shaking, clutching a stack of papers. I just need 5 minutes, she said, breathless. I crossed my arms, blocking the doorway. You here for money? No, she said quickly. I need help talking to the bank. I don't understand what they're saying. I'm overwhelmed. What about the inheritance? I asked like I was asking about the weather. She looked down. It's in an investment account. There's a penalty if I pull it out. I didn't think it would spiral this fast. I raised an eyebrow. And yet you signed everything without hesitation. I thought Mom and Dad had it covered, she muttered. They said it was all set. Exactly, I said. You didn't think. Like always. She went quiet. I stepped out and pulled the door shut behind me. This is a lesson, Samantha. Everyone stumbles. But you can't grow if someone's always there to catch you. You're really going to let them lose the house? I'm not letting anything happen. They made their choices. Now they live with them. I turned and walked away, leaving her in the hallway. 3 days later, I ran into Ben, an old classmate turned real estate agent, at an arts center networking event. I was just about to tell him about a photo series I'd been working on when he interrupted. "Hey, is your parents' house on Vine Street?" I nodded. "Someone on my team mentioned them. Looks like they're trying to sell fast. Foreclosure risk is high. You okay?" I gave a small, polite smile. "I'm fine." "They're not." That night, I opened my laptop and spotted an email from a legal aid nonprofit I'd volunteered with in college. They were starting a program to mentor seniors in managing housing debt. I smiled softly. Life has a strange way of circling back. I sat still for a moment, then started the application. Not for them. For me. Because I'd finally let go of trying to save a house that never saved me. And if I could use what I'd learned to help someone else avoid the same trap, it would be worth it. Saturday afternoon, I came home from a photography workshop, ready for tea and peace. And I realized, this was my life now. Quiet. I was expecting a quiet evening. I'd just wrapped up a photography workshop and returned home, craving nothing more than a cup of tea and silence. But as I pulled into the parking lot, I saw it. That silver minivan. The same one I co-signed for 4 years ago when my dad couldn't make the payments. I'd even transferred the title to him last year as a final act of faith. And now here it was. Parked near the gate like a bitter reminder. My pace slowed. My parents stood by the building entrance. Samantha lingered behind them, arms wrapped around her purse, eyes wide and nervous. I said nothing. Just stopped a few feet away, arms crossed. My mother spoke first, her voice shaky. "Hannah, I'm sorry we came like this. But things are worse than we expected. The bank's reassessing the house next week." Then my father added, voice low and cracked. "We made a mistake. I see that now. But if we lose the house, your mother won't cope." I looked him straight in the eye, my voice like ice. "Then why did you decide I wasn't worth including in the will?" He looked down, fumbling with the edge of his coat. "Back then we thought you'd be okay. You were always the strong one." "But Samantha," I interrupted, "gets to fall apart, gets forgiven, and inherits everything." I turned toward my sister. She didn't deny it. Just stood there silent. "I gave away my youth," I said, voice low but razor sharp. "And in return I got dismissed. Always expected to fix things. To catch the weight no one else would touch. That role. I'm done with it." My mother's tears slid down her cheeks. "We didn't know it would get this bad. Just a little help, Hannah. A few months until we can stabilize." I shook my head. It wasn't anger that drove me. It was freedom. I'm not saying no because I can't help. I'm saying no because if I do, nothing will ever change. Samantha finally spoke, her voice a fragile thread. "I didn't think it would spiral this fast. I didn't think you'd really walk away." "I didn't walk away fast," I said, holding her gaze. "I warned you. I waited. I hoped. You all ignored me." My mother whispered, "So this is really the end?" I looked at her, not as the woman who once rocked me to sleep, but as someone who had drawn a clear line between love and expectation. "This ended the day you chose who mattered and who didn't." No one spoke. The late autumn wind moved through the bare trees behind them, sharp and cold. I walked past, unlocked my door, and turned one last time. "I hope you figure it out. But I'm no longer this family's lifeline." Then to Samantha. "If you want to grow up, this is your chance. I've stepped off the merry-go-round. Now it's your turn." I shut the door behind me. Their footsteps faded down the hallway. Inside, my apartment was quiet. Sunlight spilled across the floor. No tears. No grief. Just a strange, new peace. I thought that would be the last of it. But a week later, Olivia from the art center messaged me. "Are you on Facebook? You need to see your mom's page." I typed Denise Baker into the search bar with a growing sense of dread. There was a photo of our old house and a caption dripping with guilt. "It's heartbreaking when your own daughter turns her back on her family. We sacrificed everything for her and now she won't help us keep our home." Over 80 shares. Dozens of comments full of sympathy and outrage. None from people who knew the truth. My dad's post followed. "We thought Hannah loved us. But now that we're facing foreclosure, she's vanished." Then Samantha. "Some people only act kind when they're on top. When we asked for help, they stayed silent. Guess that's what strong looks like now." I wasn't angry. Just tired. When guilt stopped working, they turned to shame. But they forgot. I wasn't silent anymore. That night I logged into Facebook. I posted once. No filters, no colors, just the truth. My family is sharing a one-sided story. Here's mine. I uploaded a photo of the will, Samantha listed as sole heir. Then came screenshots of years of mortgage payments, utility bills, and insurance receipts, all in my name. And finally, my mother's last text. Can you send $2,900 to save the house? I ended with one line. My silence wasn't consent. I was waiting for the right moment. This is it. Within minutes, comments poured in. You did all that? You're one of the most generous people I know. Now it all makes sense. People who had once believed my family's lies started sharing my post. Slowly their narrative unraveled. 2 days later, my mom deleted her posts. My dad deactivated his account. Samantha changed her profile picture to a black and white flower, her signature move when she lost control of the story. I didn't post anything else. Just sat in my apartment as rain tapped the window, feeling something new settle inside me. Justice. I didn't need their apology. I just needed them to stop. And finally they had. One post was enough to end years of silence. And now I was writing the next chapter. Not online. In real life. Since that post, I haven't heard a word from them. No calls. No messages. Just silence. But it wasn't the silence of tension or waiting. It was the silence of freedom. They lost the only person who always came back to clean up their messes. Me. I began to live. Every Monday I taught photography to high school students at the art center. Their wonder at the world reminded me, not everyone sees the same picture. Sometimes you have to choose your own angle. In the evenings, I finally took that video editing course I'd been dreaming about. For the first time, no one needed me. And that was exactly what I needed. For the first time in years, it felt like I could breathe. I started going on evening walks. Slow, unhurried, free. I baked on weekends just because I wanted to, and posted the photos online without worrying about being called fake. In class, I made new friends who didn't know me as the one who held her family together. And because of that, I finally got to just be. While I was rediscovering my life, the house at 218 Elm Street showed up on real estate listings. My friend Marcus, now a realtor, texted me. Hannah, your parents' house is up for sale. Asking $390,000 but no offers. Roof still leaking. Wiring's a mess. I wasn't surprised. No one to fix the fuse box at midnight. No one to replace the water heater or call the repair guy. No more me. That house had only survived because of me. Now it wore the truth on its walls. Peeling paint, rotting trim, empty windows. It was crumbling the same way the illusions had. A few weeks later, Lorraine, the neighbor, called to check in. Just before we hung up, she added casually, "Oh, and it looks like Samantha's moved back in. I see her doing the grocery runs. She doesn't look too happy." I paused, looked away from my laptop, and sipped my coffee. Once that news would have crushed me. Now I just shrugged. Maybe Samantha needed to live in the chaos she used to ignore. I wasn't glad they were struggling. I just wasn't willing to carry the burden anymore. That weight had never been mine to hold. My savings account was finally growing. I booked a fall trip to Seattle to photograph the changing leaves. I placed a deposit on a semi-pro camera, once a luxury I'd felt guilty even dreaming about. I started caring for myself the way I had spent years caring for everyone else. I began writing again. Not explanations or defenses, just honest reflections. I launched a blog about stepping away from toxic family dynamics. Some posts were shared widely. I received messages from strangers who said I'd finally given words to their own silent stories. One rainy afternoon, while editing photos in my favorite cafe, a real estate notification lit up my phone. Price dropped by $30,000 on property at 218 Elm. Owner seeking urgent sale. I looked at the listing. Same sagging roof. Same neglected porch. It used to symbolize duty, sacrifice, and guilt. Now it was just a house, one I didn't need to rescue. I tapped hide notification, closed my phone, and smiled. A soft, quiet smile, lighter than any I'd worn in years. I didn't belong there anymore. One cold afternoon I walked around Liberty Lake, camera in hand. Dusk light streamed through bare branches. I stopped to photograph a little boy running ahead of his mother, her laughter echoing behind him. And in that moment it hit me. Some things aren't meant to be held on to, especially when they were never really yours. I used to believe family was unbreakable. That blood meant everything. But now I know, real family is built on respect, not guilt. On mutual care, not expectation. I had spent years giving everything, hoping to be seen. But in the end, I was left out of a will and labeled dramatic for setting boundaries. I wasn't angry anymore. Just free. The house went on the market a third time. Word was, Samantha tried to play the responsible homeowner during showings. But when asked about repairs, she'd smile awkwardly. Because no one ever taught her what it took. Because I had always done it all. I never went back. Not once. One day a letter arrived. A familiar blue envelope. My mother's handwriting. She wrote about sleepless nights, my father's failing strength, and the hope that maybe, just maybe, we could start again. I don't know how much time we have left to fix things. But if you're willing, I'm still here. I folded the letter. I didn't tear it. I didn't respond. I placed it gently in the drawer beneath my desk, beside undeveloped film and half-finished drafts, things that needed time and silence to understand. I didn't hate them. I just couldn't keep sacrificing without being heard. Instead, I kept creating, teaching, capturing. I even held a small photo exhibit at a friend's cafe, images that traced my quiet healing, early morning light in the park, an elderly woman's hands wrapped around a warm mug, a fallen flower on cracked pavement. Afterward, a woman approached me and said, I don't know why, but your photos, they feel like they're speaking for someone who's been quiet for a long time. I smiled. Because she was right. I'd spent my life staying quiet. For peace, for love, for the role of the good daughter. But now I'd chosen a different peace. One rooted in self-respect, not sacrifice. I've learned to say no without guilt. To let others face the results of their own choices. To stop looking back. They're still my family, on paper, in memory, but no longer the center of my decisions. Maybe one day there'll be a reunion. Maybe not. Either way, I'm okay. Because I've built a new family. One that starts with me. This isn't a story of tragedy. It's a story of awakening. I once believed love and sacrifice guaranteed belonging. Now I know, no one, not even family, has the right to take your worth for granted.